Hey, dear ones. This is going to be a video to help you understand how to choose a nervous system exercise. So there's basically, there's a lot of nuances, but there's three general categories of situations in which you would want to choose a nervous system exercise. So two of them are acute nervous system response, defense response situations. Okay. So that is like I'm feeling a sympathetic nervous system response. I'm feeling mobilized. A lot of people will describe this as anxious or panicky or nervous, right? That's a sympathetic vagus response and it's mobilized. When you're feeling an acute, like in the moment, right now, I feel mobilized, you can offer yourself gentle movement. So, exercises in this category would be rocking, stretching, taking a slow, mindful walk, doing a slow wall push up, dancing to a song, going up and down a set of stairs, scrubbing a toilet or cleaning a floor, folding laundry, kneading bread dough, gardening, getting a grocery sack and going around your neighborhood to pick up trash. Any of these things are in the category of gentle movement. Now, I specifically say gentle movement rather than exercise because exercise can be associated with increasing the sympathetic response for those of us who have a poor relationship with the concept of exercise due to societal pressures around diet culture, etc. So if you're a person who has that in your history, I strongly recommend that you do something that's the least exercise related as possible. So in that case, it might be walking around to pick up some trash from the neighborhood or kneading some dough or folding some laundry, so that you don't trigger that fight flight response that a lot of us have associated with exercise or diet culture. Okay, so that's one experience with which you would want to respond with a nervous system exercise. So acute sympathetic, we give gentle movement. Um, then there's acute dorsal, which is the immobilization. So that's like disassociation, that sort of stagnant, stuck feeling of not wanting to get out of bed, not wanting to do anything, just wanting to lay on the couch and scroll on a phone. That is an acute in the moment. Right now, I am feeling like I want to freeze or run away or fawn. Okay. We'll start with freeze because fawn is a little bit more complex. So when we're in that acute dorsal response or that in the moment, I feel frozen, I feel disassociated, um, I feel depressed, unmotivated, stuck, we're going to offer orienting. So orienting is anything that connects you in with your senses. So this can be your actual in the moment senses, like I'm going to do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, look around and find 5 things that are I can see, 4 things I can touch, 3 things I can hear, so on and so forth. I might set a timer for 1 minute and just notice everything that I can hear during that 1 minute. I might take a raisin or a chocolate chip and put it in my mouth and let it just melt for 30 seconds and notice the taste, the textures, the temperature, anything that's happening in my mouth. I might close my eyes and pick up a pencil or a small object and really focus on feeling all of the different textures and components and how I might describe those and how they feel to my fingers and what temperature I notice, things like that. I might also give myself an imagination, um, tapping into my senses through my imagination experience. So that could be sense drench, where we imagine something that sounds nice to see, hear, taste, tell, taste, smell, touch, and we spend 3 minutes breathing and experiencing those sensations in our imagination. It might be I imagine myself in a safe place on a beautiful, beach with a sunset and everything, exactly beautiful and comfortable. And I spend 2 minutes just imagining what all my senses would experience in that. It could be that I create a story about, like I would as a child, about my favorite day and how I would spend it, or my favorite vacation and what I might do. So connecting in with your environment via your senses is the short of that acute um, response to immobilization or dorsal. And then there's the resourcing aspect of nervous system exercises. And I would say that 9.9% of the time, people want to respond with nervous system exercises only when they're having acute nervous system response. Okay, that's well and good, but that's like saying, I'm going to, have this huge field, dry field, and every time a fire comes up, I'm just going to put it out. You're going to be having those little fires spark up like constantly, and you're just going to spend your whole life putting out those fires, right? So, resourcing means that we come into that field and like really like till up all the sand, the ground. We give it a bunch of water, we plant a bunch of grass and trees and take care of it so that it's not so dry that it's constantly going to get set on fire, right? So we can do that for our nervous system by offering it consistent exercises during calm moments daily so that we increase our resilience and nervous system flexibility so that vagus nerve can support us all day, every day. And we have less of those acute situations because stressful situations become less stressful when we have a stronger foundation. So, what that means is you can choose any of the exercises, but I highly recommend a daily breath work and a daily movement and a daily creativity for this one. So that means we come in every day and give ourselves a dose of gentle movement. So it could be 10 minutes, 10 minutes to 30 minutes is plenty. It does not need to be hardcore exercise. It can be just a gentle walk, any of those things I named before. So daily, we're going to give that to ourselves. Daily, we're going to give ourselves mindfulness in the form of breath work, in the form of meditation, in the form of paying attention to our senses. I really recommend for your resourcing exercise, those things that you're going to incorporate into your daily life, that you shoot for breath work and meditation. Why? Because when you're in a defense state, the rest of the day, hopefully not, but in those acute moments, those are ones you can't really reach for. So if you think about it, if you ask someone who's in a sympathetic response or a really dorsal response to do some deep breathing, that's a lot to ask for that human. It's like your gas pedal is all the way down and you're like, can you throw it into park? Like that's pretty disrespectful to that person's nervous system and you yourself to your nervous system. So we want to give ourselves the breath work and the guided or silent meditation in times when we're not mobilized or immobilized because it's just more compassionate to our actual mechanism. And it's something that is accessible and doable and will actually benefit our strengthen and tone our vagus nerve. So daily movement, daily breath work slash meditation. Those two are really easy to put together. If you're doing breath work, you're basically meditating. Okay. Um, so daily movement, daily breath work. I would say 3 to 5 minutes of breath work is really a strong start. If you can get up to 10, fantastic, but it doesn't need to be. From the research from HeartMath, uh, cortisol goes down, I want to say 26% with 3 minutes of HeartMath, which is basically breathing. Okay. The third one, which I want to begin talking about more often, is creativity. So, why does this help your nervous system? So, I'll make a whole nother video about this, but when we're in a creative space, we are using a different part of our brain. So Martha Beck, who is the person who led the coaching training that I went through and a teacher that I respect a lot of her stuff, she's written a book on how creativity is really the antidote to anxiety, or how creativity is the opposite of anxiety. And this has to do with our amygdalas on our right and left side of our brain and their different functions. So when the amygdalas, and we've talked before on here about amygdala hijack, when our amygdala receives information from the vagus nerve via the hindbrain saying, hey, a threat has been detected, the right side amygdala goes, ooh, interesting. What do you think is going to happen? And gets curious. Okay. And it leads us to creative thinking and creative solution finding. The left side amygdala is the one that most of us have really practiced and developed and strengthened, and we go typically straight there. It goes, oh no, 5 alarm bells, shut down access to the frontal lobe. Let's go into total threat response. Okay. So if we can cultivate our connection with our right side amygdala through practicing creativity, we can develop the ability to reach for curiosity instead of fear. Okay, when we have a challenge come up. So threats are going to continue to be detected. We want that to continue to happen with our nervous system. What we want to grow towards is when that threat is detected, we get to reach for curiosity and go, ooh, what could that mean for my life? Like, what silver lining could come from that? What creative solution could I come up with that? How can I empower myself to feel really uh, like stronger as a result of facing this challenge? So, a good analogy for what a person looks like when they're reaching for their right amygdala in a threat response is like a little kid. If you watch a toddler, like 2, 3 years old at a playground, they'll go up to the scariest thing on the playground that gives their parents like a total heart palpitations, right? They'll go up to the like highest thing and they'll excitedly crawl up and start like wobbling along it because their right amygdala is like, oh my gosh, this is like such an exciting challenge and I'm going to do it and I'm going to feel so brave and so strong. And they get off of those things and they're like, did you see that? Like, I jumped off of that thing. I'm a superhero, right? They're so excited. Unless one of their parents goes, get down, you're going to fall. Oh my gosh. And trains them to reach for the left amygdala, right? So the right amygdala is the one that's like, oh my gosh, does adventures. So creativity doesn't have to be art. I know a lot of us hear that as like, I need to sit down and draw, right? If that is a place where you have a lot of stress, then don't worry about it. Creativity is making something. And it can also be through play in like a physical sense. So like, going on a kayak in a river is a creative experience. Playing a sport is a creative experience. Now, if you're somebody that, again, like with the exercise stuff, switches into sympathetic, keep an eye on that and don't use that. But finding something that gives you that, like, oh my gosh, I'm creating something, I'm making an experience or making a thing, or it's the process, it's the creative excitement that keeps us in that right amygdala. So spending 5 to 10 minutes a day with something that does that for you is something that I'm going to be encouraging folks to add into the daily movement and the daily mindfulness, because it really does impact us so significantly and trains us to start to see that curiosity and that solution mindset. Martha Beck said recently in an interview with Tim Ferriss, um, if you're anxious, make something. Because when we're in the making, it's hard to access anxiety because they're different pathways. So adding in, you can make it very basic. It doesn't need to be complicated. Adding in 5 minutes with a coloring book and some markers and just color it in, you know, get some Play-Doh and make little balls, get some beads and put them on a string. You can go as complicated as you want. You can do oil paintings and crochet sweaters if you'd like, but you can go very simple. um, my 12-year-old and I have been watching drawing tutorials, and it's like incredibly bizarre and satisfying because really, when they walk you through it, like the super basics of drawings, you can draw amazing things. Like it's very odd. Um, but you can look those up on YouTube. We also like to make little origami things. So you can just get printer paper. You don't need origami paper. Look up like super basic origami tutorials on YouTube. That's a fun one. Um, you can make it even as simple as keeping like a little tray or cookie tray of rice in a pan, and you can draw little happy faces, doodles in it, and it'll just separate as you draw through it. There's a million and one ways that you can access this. So sky's the limit. But adding in that creativity is an incredible way to increase your resources in terms of your brain's ability to go. Obstacle means freak out, or now obstacle means, ooh, creative. I have creative capacity. It's very empowering. And when you have those moments of creating something, it can, it's like when you're little and you feel like, wow, I'm a superhero. Like, look at what I just did. Um, so those are the three basics. So most people prioritize those acute responses, oh, I'm feeling anxious, so I'm going to reach for gentle movement, or oh, I'm feeling really stuck and immobilized and frozen, so I'm going to reach for some orienting. I am here to really strongly encourage you, um, focus more on incorporating that daily resourcing of the movement, the mindfulness, breath work, and the creativity. Okay, let me know if you have any thoughts or questions in the comments. I love you all.